All right, we got head coach Hank Plona. Coach will open up with a statement, then we'll jump into questions.
Man, it's as a coach, I guess, on a senior day after a couple big wins, you hope that the game kind of goes like that, but usually you know better. I thought I got off to a great start, which is good to see. Sometimes when you're out of rhythm, that can be a challenge. But I got off to a great start, and I thought kind of that middle 20 minutes of the game was back and forth. Both teams really struggled to stop each other, but I thought we completed that game. I thought obviously went a little full court defense, went a little zone there late. The last, maybe 12 to 15 minutes or so, and that seemed to kind of take them out of our rhythm and prevent them from just plowing it at us to the rim and getting fouled. So obviously I thought stretch it from 10 to whatever it ended up being at the end by doing that. So I thought the guys' intent was correct. I thought their focus, obviously these last month plus, has been very, very good, and I know it's very rewarding for them to see some wins like this, and hopefully gives us a belief in what we're capable of doing here these next few weeks. So very proud of the guys. I mean, it's a real team effort. I think that everyone on both ends. There's obviously a lot of individual probably recognition or questions that you'll ask, but at the same time, I thought our ultimate strength today was that we really played as a group, as a team, as a family, as a unit, whatever word you want to use to say that. When five guys are all thinking the same thing, nobody's really thinking, and the game gets pretty easy, and that's kind of what it looked like a little bit on both ends today. So it's a process to get a team to look like that, but very proud the guys have chosen to buy in and play for the name on the front of that jersey and get a couple big wins, and very impressed by what they were able to accomplish today.
Coach, 90-plus points for these guys the past 3 games. What has really allowed them to just lock in offensively like that?
Yeah, we're playing with good pace. We're playing with good spacing. I don't think there's any selfish motives or intent at all. That ball is moving. Players are moving. I think the guys have, we do some different wrinkles. They buy into learning, into what we want to do. There's just a trust and a buy-in and a togetherness right now that I think is allowing them all to be the best versions of themselves. So I think everybody played to their strengths today. I think everybody. I didn't see anybody try to go outside the box and do any. We talked about how when we got up by 20 there night versus New Mexico State in the second half, we got a little quick, started shooting some dribble jump shots a little bit. And tonight, man, I thought even when they were switching defenses, we were patient. We were trying to figure out how we could get the best shot possible. I think the unselfishness of each and every player has been pretty. It was pretty impressive tonight. So obviously playing with good pace, making teams uncomfortable. I don't know. I'll have to watch the film, but shot a very high percentage, so usually you need all those things to do that.
Thanks, you were shot 46 to 18 in the paint, which is one of the things you did early in the year that kind of got you rolling a little bit. Those numbers are pretty rare.
Yeah, we're putting a lot of pressure on. Obviously, having Teagan back helps with that. 24 points on 8 for 10. That's free throws are part of that. I mean, he's obviously a huge part of that. I don't mean to, you guys know me. I'm not trying to just give credit to the guy that's technically the leading scorer, but he's. Man, I would think you put your best defender on him, and that obviously allows, LJ's game the last 2 to 3 weeks has really stepped up, and I think he's almost realized, wait a second, I can do this. He's playing with extreme confidence. So those two guys for sure are I think forces at the basket right now. I don't know how many of the 46 points the two of them had, but they combined for I guess 45 tonight, and a lot of that was probably in the paint. So those two guys are doing good. Grant scoring here and there. I mean. Ryan's not the best rim finisher in the world, but I thought he was attacking very aggressively tonight. I know Terrion wasn't. Terrion had 0 made shots, but man, he gets in the paint. So whether that's we score in there or even the inside-out threes that he creates. So I don't know. To sum up basketball, you want to get a paint touch, you either score at the basket or score on some kind of kick out, and we were probably accomplishing that pretty good tonight.
I think you guys hit your first 8 shots from the field.
Yeah.
You shot it at almost. You'd say an elite level for much of that first half. The only thing they were doing was hitting some threes to stay in it. Did you have to adjust to what they were doing, or was it just?
Yeah, we pressured out a little bit. I mean, I think it seemed that that's what was getting us early on. They got the free throw line and a couple early threes for sure. So they don't shoot a ton of threes. I don't know if we lost some guys or whatever. Watson got loose. So Watson had 3 at the half. We tried to make a plan not to let him get another one, and he didn't make another one. So that's a good thing. Obviously, West stepped out there for 2. he's really their big guy. It's a hard game for Blaze, Leroy, and Noah to play man-to-man. So obviously maybe we should have gone zone a little earlier. It seemed to bother them. But I thought he got loose for a couple on our bigs where they're trying, and the effort, the intent is correct. It's just Leroy and Blaze don't go out there and guard too much, and you don't really want to put them on Jones. Jones going 0 for 3 was a key. Jones had 0 points. I mean, Watson and Jones were the key. So, I mean, obviously limiting Elijah Jones to 0 for 4, 0 for 3 from 3. So, obviously, I thought they got going for a little bit. And I think we talked about offensive rebounding at the end of the half there. West had 2. We talked about fouling. I think they had 13 points at the free throw line, and then I think they had 5 or 6 threes at half. So those were kind of the focal points at halftime, and I think we did a better job in the second half on all of them.
Grant scored his 1,000th career point, and we asked him about just his time here at Western Kentucky, what it's meant to him, and he talked a lot about how you and the staff instilled a lot of confidence in him from the first day he stepped on this campus. Can you talk to me a little bit about that relationship and how you guys have seen him grow into the dominant player he is now?
Yeah, he's talented as all get out now. He's one of the last, I guess he's the second to last guy we signed, and I thought we were missing an impact. I guess you used the phrase play quote unquote at the 4. I don't really have numbers or positions or anything like that, but I guess what I mean is somebody with size that can score and play in a lot of different ways, but also guard a guy with size. But one of the things I think Grant, I'm the 4th head coach Grant's had in his 4 years in college, so there's a lot of guys that talk about transfers and stuff. I mean, Grant went to Cal, there was a coaching change. He was the only player that decided to stay at Cal. Obviously, Cal Berkeley, great academic school. He didn't want to leave, he didn't want to transfer, but I think he felt like, that the year he was the only holdover, and maybe didn't, I don't think he felt like he was ever quite prioritized. So after that, he decided to make a move, went to North Texas and played for one of my best friends, Ross Hodge, who's now the head coach of West Virginia, is one of my closest friends. I have some former coworkers on their staff, so I know those guys really well. And then at the end of the year, Ross leaves to go to West Virginia, and all of a sudden Grant's in the same position he was in 2 years ago. So you look at guys that bounce around, but then I looked at Grant's situation in mid-April, and I said to myself, wait a second, like, this all makes perfect sense, and 2, like, this kid just has had no continuity. He's had no, I mean, he's a talented dude. He's a high character kid, comes from a great family. He's just had no continuity in his career. So I don't know. I thought we probably had 4 or 5 different kind of 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", forward, guard, type guys that were on the table, and he was always the one that stood out to me. And from the first moment I spent time with him, he was certainly a huge priority. I'm not surprised by what he's doing. I think if you're 6'8", 6'9", and can shoot the ball and work like that and have character, man, you're just guaranteed to keep getting better. I said the other day he was fighting probably some he was a little sick, I'd say, probably about a month ago, and when we were all banged up, and he would never say anything and just fight through it. I mean, he's shown some toughness. He's shown some grit. I believe he's probably learned a lot about himself and what he's capable of, and he's absolutely correct that we believe in him and I believe in him. There's never been a moment where he hasn't, I plan on him being a super important part of this team, and obviously you have to earn it. Like, I'm not going to be easy on anybody. The bar is just going to keep going up, but I think that Grant's at a point in his career where he knows what kind of a program that has some structure that's good for him, that believes in him. I mean, he's seen it all, so I think he can recognize, an environment that's good for him, and he's really bought into what we do and who we are from the very beginning. But which every player you need to do to have success. You can't always be debating if you're in the right spot or right situation. And as a coach, it's unfair if you ever debate man, is he the right guy for me? No. I think I've known from the beginning that Grant's the right guy for me, and I think Grant's known from the beginning that we're the right spot for him. And I think that's allowed him to continue to grow and get better throughout the whole year. And I'm not surprised by his success. I think he's an elite player that's going to be professional for a long time. But I am happy that we are seeing some of the fruits of all that labor during the season. Sometimes it's when it happens a year or two down the road, as a coach, that, all right, some of that work now is paying off, but I'm very happy that our team is able to see some of that, and Grant's getting some positive reinforcement, and he's going to continue to be a huge part of what we're doing moving forward.
I think Caden's wearing the belt and trying to get through some back trouble.
Yeah, he's having some back issues. you know, he started the day before the Liberty practice. He was sluggish, and even the other game there on Wednesday night was the first time I've ever said you good, and he always says yes, but he kind of looked at me one-on-one and shook his head like that. He tried to practice yesterday. He's just a little slow and sluggish, so obviously it's just health stuff. He's, you know, I'm sure he's banged up a little bit more than he lets on, so we're having, you know, he's getting treatment and everything like that, nothing more, but yeah, having that back's been flaring up, and we'll try to keep getting him kind of working. I'm not sure what his status will be for this week, but I'd love to have him available when we go to Huntsville. So, you know, he's somebody, he knows I believe in him a ton, and Kate's the type of guy that can hit a couple big shots. Even when his back was hurting there tonight, he was still firing him up there, so he adds a dimension for sure.
With 2 games left in the season, this is a team that's, you know, shown shades of the team that made the March Madness tournament. In 2 road games, you won 3 straight road games up to this point. What do you do to keep that momentum going to make March Madness?
You don't focus on the end goal and just focus on the day-to-day. And, you know, I know that's coach speak, but we're going to continue to have the best recovery day tomorrow possible, the best kind of self-improvement day on Monday, and then we'll full team practice Tuesday, Wednesday. That's exactly kind of the routine we did this week, and it led to some success. You can't just redo anything, so obviously the specifics of that, Coach Hall will treat those guys exactly where they're at body-wise, and we'll prepare for Thursday game and do the kind of the routine we've been doing. We have very thoughtful players, and sometimes when you have a whole week, if I go over 10 things, we'll try to focus on all 10 and do them, and sometimes we'll forget about priority 1 and 2. So we've kind of been focused on priority 1, 2, and 3 when it comes to game preparation, and really been focused on ourselves and keeping our mentality. So like I know I've referenced it a couple times, but really since we kind of started rebuilding our mentality after the Sam Houston game, these guys, I don't think we've had a bad practice since then. And so we're at the point where we just kind of expect it, so we'll continue to work and obviously focus on us, focus a little bit on Missouri State, and know that every game is going to be tough. I know we made these last 2 maybe look simple. This is not easy. Missouri State they've lost some games in a row by a average of maybe 3 points a game, and they'll be playing with real urgency. You know, FIU is as big, strong, athletic, and talented as anybody in our league. They lost at Liberty in overtime the night before, or 2 nights before we played them, and honestly, we kind of followed their game plan a little bit on how to beat Liberty. So got two obviously very big, strong, athletic, physical opponents in front of us, and we'll do what we can to be prepared to give our best effort Thursday night.
I thought this was maybe the flashiest you guys have looked on offense.
Yeah. That behind the back pass, I noticed that. I was happy that was on targets.
Is that something we can continue to see going
I
forward?
want those guys to stay in the moment and make the right play, and I suppose those were at the time, which is good. You don't want to make them to be flashy. You want to make them when you need to. So it looked like the guys did that tonight.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.